Hi everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at Bitcoin and some of the altcoins here. Give you a look and see what's going on. Under immense pressure all across crypto land here. As you can see, the candles started riding below EMA4 resistance. That's the pink line on this chart on the 31st of July, and this signaled downside risk. Notice how every single one of these candles is closed below that pink line. I know I'm beating the dead horse into the ground here, but do not touch this thing until it closes above EMA4, unless you want to keep catching the falling knife. You can try to time the bottom, but until EMA4 turns into support, similar to this candle back here on the 15th of July, once it finally closed above, that signaled the start of the uptrend. Every single time on Bitcoin, when it's below EMA4, it's a risk to hold. When it's above, it signals upside potential. Right now, it busted through that 6,200 support level. Okay, so we were looking for the 6,200 to 63 level to hold. It tested this. It's testing the 5,800 level. It really needs to hold the June 28th closing price. That's down here around 58.50. If we pull this chart out a little bit, you can see here where it's coming up here and hitting key levels from back in what is this? The November the 11th. The closing price on November 11th, that's going to be the big level to hold. That's also lining up with that closing price on the 28th of June. That's that 5,800 support level that I've been talking about. If that breaks, then you have 5,500, which is support from back here on the what is that? The 24th there of September, and then below that you have the top from back here in August of 2017, and that level is down around 5,500. So break 5,800, you have 55, and then actually no 55, and then no, I'm sorry, this level down here is 4,900. It on this chart it's difficult to read, but 4,900 is the bottom green line, and so that 4,950 level would be the top from back here in August 1st of 2017, and then above that is that 5,500, which would be the bottom of this candle right here, the low close, and then you have the closing here. So that 55 to 5,800 is really important to hold. Right now it's testing support. If that breaks, it's going to signal more downside risk. If you look here at Bitcoin Cash, you can see here it has the same pattern. It's just riding EMA4 resistance lower. Look at all those candles. Okay, so once it got below, that signaled downside risk. If we pull this chart out a little bit, you can see here where it's hitting. It's coming up and hitting the support levels from back here in September 28th. Okay, that's going to be the big level to hold, this 450 support zone. Okay, so that's from this September support level. If that were to break that 450 level, you could come down here and test that 400 zone, or possibly even drop down into the 300s. You have 310 was the big support level down here in September. So it's going to be really important that it bounces off of this 450 level. If that fails to hold, you could see a lot more downside risk. The drop below 500, this 530 level, was a red flag. It needs to get back above 530. Okay, if you look at Ethereum here, Ethereum has the same pattern, just riding the EMA4 lower. The best thing to do is just be on the sidelines, just have patience, wait for that, wait for the bottom, and then that gives you a chance to make the trade. You can see people are catching the falling knife down here with this long lower wick on today's candle. They're loading off of the 250 support zone. If we pull it out here, you'll see 250 down here. Down here, what was support back in September, and so this is going to be a big level to hold. You have this whole level during September that was big support, and now it's dropped below that 280 level. Dropping below 280 is a red flag. If 280 turns into resistance, then you've got this 254 level here, 255, and if that were to break, you could see a drop down in the 220s. That was the low down here around 222, 223 back on September the 14th. So yeah, you can see there's a lower wick on today's candle. They are trying to load, but what you'd want to see on a bottom really is a big volume spike. You'd like to see bounce players loading, similar to over here. You have the volume spikes back here in January, and that signaled the bounce. You had the volume spikes back here in September after the pullback, and that signaled the bounce. Right now, volume is still pretty low. you want to see that spike showing that investors have loaded for that reversal. Otherwise, you're just going to get short cover rallies. Now let's look at Litecoin. Litecoin, it has the same type of bearish pattern, just right in EMA4 resistance lower. If we pull the chart out here, you can see it's hitting this support zone from back here in September. Everything's retraced back to September levels of 2017. That's not good. That's before that breakout in November. It was in November back here that it really got cooking. That's when you saw the huge moves. And so now we're below those November levels. Now it's back in those September levels, and it could possibly push lower. Now this 52 level is going to be really big to hold. If it fails to hold that 50 support zone, you could see a drop down here to 44.45 level, which was the closing price back on the 14th of September. Break that level, and then you've got the 38s on deck. That was down here at the bottom. The bottom line is that this is retraced back into the prior channels before the big breakout. So that is not good. We're talking about, a full retracement of the November breakout. And so, yeah, it's going to be real important that it holds support here. Once again, I would not touch it until it starts getting above EMA4. You can see here again, this is Ripple. Ripple has been under big pressure, trading below EMA4, just riding lower. People loaded back here on the 8th. It looked like, people were trying to play the bounce, but there was also that big seller. And yeah, this didn't generate any kind of bounce right here. This might have just been people exiting, people heading to the sidelines. It's getting pretty parabolic on the downside here. You got to keep an eye on Ripple for a technical bounce. It is hitting now again. See where it had broken out here on the 12th of November back in 2000. Was that November or yeah, or December? This broke out on the 12th of December of 2017. That's when it really got cooking, and it made the parabolic move, the 1000% gainer type of move. But right now it dropped below that level. You can see here there was a top in November, or what is this? A top in October, and then a top here in December or November. The double top here in October and November is now breaking. Okay, so it dropped below that level on Friday or yesterday, and then now today it's dropped. It's trading below. So what it needs to do, it needs to get back above 28. It's going to be a major red flag if 28 turns into resistance. It's back down here. It's back in this previous channel. Notice how 28 was the top. On all these moves. It was the break above 28 that sent this thing higher. Now it's back below 28. That is not good for the bulls. If 28 turns into resistance, unfortunately, you could see a drop back down here to this 2019 level. It could get uglier. So big, it needs to really bounce off 28. Sorry to see all the people that were thinking this was going to head higher. Let's look at Monero here. Monero's really pulling back as well. A lot of these, it's just, if you have any experience trading penny stocks, then you would know that these were this had the pump and dump type of setup. All these stocks, all these cryptos did. They pumped them up and then they've dumped them. And so yeah, they we'll see if the technology down the line. I'm sure these are gonna a lot of these will the big players will survive, and there'll be winners and there'll be losers. But right now, I mean, just from a technical perspective, a lot of these charts just look like really ugly over-the-counter penny stock charts that have mad dilution and that are just in a major downtrend. And so, and when there's blood in the streets, that's the best opportunity to buy. And so you just have to be on the lookout for bounces. If you look here at Monero, people are trying to play the bounce today. You can see the long lower wick, but the volume is very light. Look at this volume bar. I mean, you need volume. You need at least twice as much volume to be signaling that bounce players are really loading here. So this is super light volume. They're driving it down. There's just a lack of buyers right now. It needs to get above EMA4 at 88.50. It's come back down to this key support level. Notice how this is the bottom of this previous pullback, and so the closing price on the 2nd of November is the big level to hold. If it were to fail to hold this level, basically at 83, which it's below right now, that's going to signal major downside risk. This is the huge support level. Look at all this action action back in September where it held this level and that's where it took off higher. If 83 turns into resistance, I mean, I hate to say it, but you know, 82 is just right below here with this level, and if they or 70, what is this? No, this is 77, 77 just below, and so if 83 fails to break, you've got 77, and then if 77 were to break from the narrow, it could get really ugly. You could see a drop literally all the way down to 55 because that's the next support level. There's not really much support between 77 and 55. So this is huge. It's gotta bounce for the bulls. Otherwise, more downside risk. Okay, take a look at ADA, BTC. Another nasty downtrend, you know, just lack of volume. You know, nobody's buying here. I mean, the people are not, you know, excited about cryptocurrency right now. Look how the volume has just fallen off. And so, you know, you can see, look at the volume when crypto was hot. I mean, look back here in when this first started trading back in November and December before the run. Look at the huge volume spikes. You can't even see the volume now. It's so low. There's just no volume. Look at the volumes way down here. I mean, it's like micro volume. So they're able to just crush these altcoins. I mean, look at this, just bloodbath. You know, anytime you have a parabolic spike like this, it's the Eiffel Tower pattern. It's not going to turn out good. And this was just another example of that. Now you got the lower wick there, people trying to play the bounce. Got to get above EMA 4. This one, it's been EMA 13, the orange line. So once you get a break above that EMA 13 level at 1775, that's going to be a signal that it's actually trying to get a real bounce going. Right now, it's hitting key support levels. I'm seeing this closing price on the 14th of December as the big level to hold. If it were to fail to hold this green line right here, which is near the lower wick on today's candle, then you got that next level right over here on the 28th of November. And so this is going to be a really big support zone. If it fails to hold this, you know, 13 to 12 to 14 support zone, then it could get really nasty. So yeah, it's going to be real important that, I mean, it's already been nasty, but it could get worse. Let's look at TRX BTC here. Yeah, this is just the ugliest chart ever. Look at this. So it double topped up here. So it made the parabolic spike, hit a top, came down, made another top. So you got the double top, and then it's just been faded. I mean, look at that, just horrendous pullback. There was a giant volume spike on this thing back on the 8th of August here. You know, so it looked like, you know, so I'm not sure what's going on with the big volume spike. Many times when you have a big pullback like this and then you got a big spike, it bounces and heads higher. So I don't know if somebody was, you know, dumping right here, or if they loaded and they're dipping it lower and then it's going to take off. But keep an eye on Tron. That volume spike is interesting because people do load at the bottom. This is below, and you can see why they were loading down here, possibly. It is because, but it didn't move anywhere. It's just really interesting. You got the March low close here, and it busted below that level yesterday. That was a major red flag, dropping below that 3.5 level, because this is the whole history of the trading of the stock. Now you're just to the first candle. You're just now. It's just all. It's trading. The only support is the first trading day of the history of the stock. That's how far this is retraced. I mean, right now, this is almost a complete 99% loss for anybody that's like gotten into this thing at any time, other than the very first day at the very beginning of trading. Because look at where this is at. I mean, this is right here on this first bar. There's no other trading in the history of the stock. I mean, everybody's a loser on this thing. I mean, that is really sad to see, you know, but that's the freaking markets. Yeah, there's always going to be winners and losers. The key, the name of the game is do not get caught holding the bag. Just follow the charts. If candles are riding EMAs 4 and 8 resistance lower, do not ride. I just wouldn't even play these cryptocurrencies until you see that they're reversing and they're getting a solid uptrend going. Why even waste your time? We've got so many good stocks and so many good option plays on a daily basis that why even have your funds tied up in this kind of BS until the charts look better. When the charts look better, we'll be all bullish on crypto again. But right now, they're looking pretty ugly. Okay, thanks for doing this video.